Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm just going to have a little recap over I suppose jobs that I've done since January that we've shown on the videos as seeds sown, and their progress where they are now, and some of the beds that we've prepared. So starting off here is the pollinator friendly bed. Now I think we had a look at this back, it was either late January or early February. So I did a clear out on it from over the winter, and as you can see it really is starting to come into its own now at this stage. Already a few flowers after breaking out. There's been a few new additions, some things I've taken away, some things I've cut back a little bit further, but you can see it really is starting to take shape. So these are the calendulas. They actually survived the winter from last year, so I left them in situ, and you can see they're really taken off there and flowering already. They've been flowering for the last couple of weeks. There's a couple of new additions to the bed. So I have a perennial wallflower in at the back here, and that's actually starting to get a bit swamped by the calendula. So they do grow quite tall, but it might be another couple of years. It's a perennial plant, so again it might take a little while to get established. So I might move it forward for now, just so it doesn't get swamped altogether and suffer from a lack of light. I have catmint there, or Napetia. That's actually just after starting flowering in the last week or so. You can see the foxgloves after coming on massively. It's really after spreading out. I should get maybe 3 or 4 spikes off it this year. I haven't only got one last year. And there's my scabious or pincushion plant. It's already in flower, which is great. A bit of oregano. This was a small little cutting that I'd taken. It's a lamb's ear, or Stachys byzantia, which is a good pollinator. Again, these are all pollinator friendly plants. But what's really great to see at the minute is all the seedlings coming through. Some of these I scattered myself, so I put down some poppy seeds, and I put down some snapdragon seeds and some cornflower seeds, and they're actually all starting to come up. But what's great is that a lot of the calendula seeds, you can see them popping up here and along here and here. There's a little weed after sneaking in there, no problem. Take that out. They're all just after self-seeding. Even the nasturtium seeds, I didn't sow any nasturtium seeds myself, so there was a lot of nasturtium here last year. So that's just self-seeded and coming up. So again, you can see it'll probably be very crowded here. Some of the stuff I probably will have to take out and thin it out a bit, or it'll become. But the whole idea is that the bed there's very little visible soil. The echiums that I put in then as well, again a biennial plant, they're going to flower for me this year. They'll eventually be the height of that wall, if not further, when they're fully grown. So we'll keep an eye on those as they get taller. The lavender I had to cut back. It's not doing so well in this position. I'm not sure if the soil is a little bit too damp for it, but it was suffering, so I have given it a cut back. Again, it was getting too big for that space in terms of blocking out. You can see there's some summer bulbs that I put down there, liatris. So again, they're flying it as well. They're coming up. So again, the bed is really taking shape. This one has really surprised me this year. This is Achillea. So again, it's or yarrow would be its common name, but again, that'll have a lovely yellow flower in it. But I'm so surprised at how big it's gotten. I got it in a very poor state last year, and it didn't really do much. But it's just after coming into its own this year, after finding its feet. So again, you can see that bed will fill up very, very quickly. And I'd say if the weather stays warm as it is now, even though we're in for kind of a damp period, I'd say give it another 4 weeks and you won't be seeing much soil there anymore. I have a couple of little ground cover mesembryanthemums or livingstone daisies to put in along the front here. They're actually in the little grow house that I have. They're ready to go. I just haven't put them in yet. Just put in 3 there. Again, those guys will really spread out and add a nice bit of vibrant colour to the front of the bed. So that's the pollinator friendly bed. Delighted with it. It's really coming on. And you can see that's the butterfly plant there. So that's starting to take shape as well. And that'll give it another 4 weeks, and that'll be again probably 2 or 3 times the size as it is now. So we move on to just look at the seedlings in the grow house next and see how they're progressing. So here's the grow house here. So some of the seedlings have already put out. This is Morning Glory, or convolvulus would be its Latin name, not to be mistaken for the garden invasive garden weed that shares its name. Bindweed is what it would more commonly known as. They're not related, but they share the same name. So again, not to be mistaken with this. This is again, I think the similarities that they both have trumpet flowers on them. The convolvulus here is more of an annual bedding plant, not to be not invasive. The other one can really strangle your plants again. Quite different. Here's my cosmos. I have a good bit of cosmos along the bed here as well already. Sunflowers in the background. I have most of my sunflowers in. I just noticed this morning that one of them got cut at the base by the slugs, and it was lying on its side, it was completely gone. But I can replace that anyway. But I have some of these promised to other people, so I'll have to. Hopefully the slugs won't get too many of them. Again, I have this is mallow, I think. Yeah, mallow plants. Again, they can grow quite tall, up to about 75 centimeters a meter. Calendula here, some of that I've planted in the bed, I'll show you in a while. And this is my Livingstone daisy here, so I have tons of them. So again, I'm going to get them into the ground hopefully this week. And then I have my olive plants, and then my marigolds. So you can see everything has really come on in that regard in the bed, or in the grow house. So, we've had that cold spell, but again, having something that keeps the frost off overnight makes a huge difference. And these plants are nearly all hardened off now at this stage, so sometimes if the weather's not going to be too cold, I leave the door open overnight, and it just allows them to become acclimatized to the cold, a bit of colder weather. Moving on here, just I have my sweet pea at the back here, and some Morning Glory, or the convolvulus here at the front. Again, sweet pea all along the base here, and then there's a trellis here for that to climb up. And again, gave me brilliant colour and scent there last year, so really looking forward to that getting going again. They'll be a bit slow to get going in the ground, but once they are going, they'll be flying it. And then along the back of the vegetable bed, I just planted in a mixture of cosmos, sunflower, and I put some sweet pea in beside the sunflower, because once the sunflower gets going, they can use the sunflower the sweet pea can use the sunflower to climb up. And then if a bit of cosmos thrown in, I'm going to put some Morning Glory in, or convolvulus in along the front of those as well. So just give it a bit of colour. So the vegetable bed, which is here, which was sown a month ago today, I think. So garlic, I've had nothing out of, and to be honest with you, I think it's not going to work for me this year. Really, garlic should go in over the winter time. It needs a period of cold, kind of about 8 to 10 weeks for the clove that you plant to develop into a bulb, and I just was late getting it down, just didn't get around to it. So we'll wait and see, we live in hope, but I'm not really expecting much from the garlic, unfortunately. I'm sure I'll get a bit of a showing, but how successful it'll be, I'm not sure. You can see here the onions are all coming up, so we have a planting here, a cropping here, and a cropping here. That's great. The beetroot is all up as well. It's all starting to shoot up. Small enough at the minute. The carrots, lovely. I have to tin out a few of those. They're, I'm growing them in clumps anyway, but I think some of them will have to be slightly tinned out, and I'll just use the scissors to snip back the ones. I'm not going to go pulling them out and disturbing the other root crops, but I'll just get a scissors and snip it at the base, and that'll be the end of that for that plant. But again, just so they're not totally crowded out. I have a gap here then, and then broccoli. The broccoli and the Brussels sprouts were the first to come up actually, so they're flying it. So broccoli there. Now these will be longer term crops, they won't be ready till kind of Brussels sprouts around Christmas time. Broccoli won't be ready till probably next February or something like that. And then the broad beans, so they're flying it, it's great. Love the broad beans, so again I'll support them when they get a bit taller. Now the rhubarb is looking a bit sorry for itself. I transplanted at the same time as I put down the vegetable bed. Yeah, it was kind of coming back into its own, and then we had some strong winds over the last week, and it just kind of battered it, so it's looking a bit sad, but again, it will be okay. there's some nice fresh growth coming on it, but it's looking a little bit sad at the minute. So keep that fed and watered, although no need for watering at the minute. So again, that's that bed there. I might just have a quick look at the blueberry plant that was transplanted. Again, that's doing really well, so I'll just take you over there now. So that's the blueberry plant there. It's absolutely flying it. A lot of the flowers are nearly gone off it at this stage, but you can see there's the flowers on now, and you can see the bumblebees are at it the whole time. I don't see any there at the minute, but it's usually a very active area here. So again, that's really after coming into its own in the larger pot, and in the ericaceous compost as well. So it really is doing well, and it's a lovely plant in its own right without even the blueberries. A nice leaf on it, nice autumn colour, lovely flowers. So again, it gives you plenty, and you can get a few bowls of fruit out of it as well. So it's nice, great one to have. I would highly recommend a blueberry plant to anyone. So we might just have a quick look at the wildflower meadow now. So here we have the wildflower area, the two beds here, and I've kind of extended it over there as well. So you can see there's plenty of activity going on. I suppose it was planted about two and a half weeks ago. So again, it does take a little while for things to start getting established. Now there has been a bit of grass regrowth. Even though I did turn the sod, you will always have a bit of grass regrowth, and to be honest with you, that's to be expected. And I have been pulling some of it, but I'm not overly concerned about it, because really in any kind of meadow you have, and again, I won't really want this to be kind of a perennial meadow. Again, I did plant some annuals in it this year just for that bit of colour this year, because the perennials don't always flower in the first year. Generally with a perennial meadow, you'll have the breakdown, the ratio of grass to wildflowers will generally be 70% grass, 30% perennial flower. So again, it's a natural thing for the grass to come up through it. I don't want the grass to take over, so I will have to keep an eye on it, but again, that's okay. So I'm not overly concerned about that. So again, you can see I've had a couple of cats digging in the bed there, and they have disturbed a lot of, so it looks like I'm going to have a bit of a bare patch, so I'll have to get some more seed to scatter down there, although some of it seems to be coming through. But I've had a couple of nights now where the next morning I've got up and the cats have been done a bit of a job there, so not overly happy with it, but again, what can you do? It's part and parcel of it. They love kind of a freshly dug bed anyway. They like that nice fresh compost, so unfortunately the more you look after your beds, the more they want to come and help you out. So again, you can see plenty of growth coming up along there. Small bit of this was planted slightly later, so again it's a little, maybe a week behind in terms of growth, but you can see there is a bit of growth starting to come through there as well. And then this is a more of a formal bed again, not formal as such, it's not formal I suppose, but it's not wildflower as such, but again all pollinator friendly. Again, you have mallow, sunflower, honesty, and what's the other one we have there? Convolvulus or morning glory as well, and some cosmos in there as well. So again, that's just to kind of give a bit of a colour around the shed and to hide the dodgy paintwork or lack of. And again, you see some there as well, so that'll bring a nice bit of colour. And last but not least, then we'll have a little look at the tomatoes and peppers that I put down. So last but not least, then we have the tomato plants. So again, these went down around the 20th of February. So again, they're coming on nicely. I've given them one small little feed of tomato feed just this weekend there, just kind of bring them on a little bit. You can see I've got 4 kind of larger ones and then 2 smaller ones. I'm not sure, I didn't think these 2 were going to actually germinate. They took a long time to come, and so what I did was I was cutting a sweet pepper one night, and I got a couple of seeds and threw them into the soil, and you can see now there's a pepper plant after coming up in each of those. So I have 6 tomato plants and 2 sweet peppers. So again, I have pots for these that they are going to go outside. I'm just kind of waiting for the weather to settle a little bit. I'm going to put them in fairly large pots. I can't remember the size of them as such. but you know, I want to pot them on and leave them. I don't want to have to pot them on again, so I'm just going to put them into a larger pot. Again, these are bush tomatoes. They will need to be staked as they grow. So not your regular, or sorry, not bush. These are not your bush tomato. Excuse me. They're the climbing variety. So again, they will need to be staked to grow. And then my peppers. So again, these are kind of my chili peppers. Again, chili peppers are generally slow enough to germinate and slow enough to get going, but you can see they're coming on nicely in a good. And I probably will keep the peppers inside. I might put them out during the day, but generally they will stay inside. And they don't tend to do too well outside. It does certainly stunt their growth. So we'll see what we get out of that. But again, everything is coming on nicely. The warm weather and that rain that we got as well really, obviously it's not going to affect these plants because they're inside. And I do put them out during a nice calm day. I have been putting them outside, so they have become acclimatized to a bit of outdoor conditions as well. But again, everything coming on nicely. And it's great to see that. You know, a bit of reward from the work that you put into it. Okay, thanks very much.